we started this program that we go to meet with parents and middle school students. And early on, because it was a student in this class who was actually black and Jewish, who was a great speaker, I said to him, would you come to this program? And that led us to have a whole teen trainer program, and that's how Jake got involved. So he doesn't work with Green's Community. We never got to his school in years and years and years, but he's been a wonderful trainer for our teen trainer program, and I asked him to come tell his story, and his proud dad said before he goes to college this might be his last one, so he wants to film it, so I'm getting out of the way.
You can stay in.
Alright, hi guys, I'm Jacob. I'm a senior at Staples High School in Westport. My story has to do with anti-Semitism, and it happened to me when I was in 7th grade. So, tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. My father, who is Israeli, drilled this into my head because one of my closest friends would jokingly call me stupid Israeli. I didn't think much of it because he acted like he loved my father and hugged him every time he saw him, so I would just laugh it off. After 6 months or so, the stupid Israeli comment became, "Shut up, you're Jewish." I didn't understand why he would say this to me, especially because his father is Jewish also. At any rate, I realized that he wasn't only directing these remarks to me. He was saying similar things to other Jewish boys in my grade. I noticed that the other kids he taunted just laughed it off as I had. In time, I became frozen and didn't know what to say or how to respond. Therefore, I did nothing, and he continued to harass me with a smile on his face over the course of another year. Other kids started following his example, which gave him more drive to continue his anti-Semitic remarks. During a volleyball game in gym class, another boy realized that his teammates were all Jewish, and he said, "Holy shit, I'm not playing with these Jews," and ran to the other side. The rest of my teammates and I just looked at one another in shock and continued playing. We didn't even talk about what he had just done, but our silence was awkward. 2 days later, in the locker room, I was changing my shirt when the ringleader came behind me. He tried to yank the Star of David off my neck, which my grandfather just gave me for my up-and-coming bar mitzvah. At that point, I turned around and said to him, "Stop," which he did. A few weeks later, I attended a bar mitzvah party. While visiting another table, one of the ringleader's friends said to me, "Go back to your table, Jew." That's when I said to myself, enough is enough, and I told my parents about what was going on. Naturally, my parents became very angry and decided to contact the school administrators. We found out that we were not the only ones upset about this kid. He was making racist remarks to other black, Hispanic, Pakistani, and Jewish kids. And in some cases, his remarks to the other kids were much more harsh than they were to me. Unfortunately, my school hardly did anything to take care of the problem, so my parents contacted our rabbi, who led me to ADL. This experience made me realize how complicated it is to fight against anti-Semitic remarks and attitudes. My school spoke to the boys' parents, but I'm not sure anyone was punished. When the kids at school heard that the principal had been notified, the bully accused another boy of being a tattletale. I stood up and looked him in the eye and said, "I am the one who told." So he called me a complainer. At this point, other people realized the truth about what was going on, and the kids got scared, so they stopped making those remarks. It was reassuring to see that the majority of the school was disgusted by the boys' remarks. Meanwhile, I chose a different group of friends to sit with during lunch. Slowly, the boys who followed the bully recognized the mistakes they made and came to sit with me. Several weeks later, the bully realized that he was losing his friends, so he tried to apologize to me online. However, he was not really apologizing, but rather trying to put the blame on me. I proceeded to tell him the truth about himself and told him that he was a racist, and I asked him, "Who is complaining now?" To make a long story short, he admitted to his mistakes and apologized to me. He wanted to make sure that our friendship would be the same as before this all happened, but I knew it could never be the same. I felt awkward about the possibility of being his friend again. I would never do that to my other friends who supported me throughout this ordeal. I now select my friends according to their positive behavior and ability to understand right from wrong in order to make wise decisions so that innocent people don't get hurt. I realize how important it is for me to be with the right people because my friends are a reflection of who I am, and I will be judged by others according to the friends I choose. Thank you.
And you can picture Jacob telling this story now to middle school students as a high school student and the power that he has. I've heard a lot of feedback about how important it is to teach older students to teach younger students. I'm going to have Saram go next. Okay. so the next person I want to introduce is Saron. Once again, I met Saron, I think I mentioned to you, I hope it's okay, did I say where I met you, is that okay? I met Saron when he was in ninth? I think it's ninth. At the...
To answer your original question as mom, like when do I come and say something, and you know, there's really not a specific time where you're going to be like, oh, he has this answer, so I should ask him this question, you know. You kind of have to go with your hunch, I guess, you know, go with your gut feeling about something, and you know, if you develop a good enough relationship, like with my parents and I, we have a pretty good relationship, and it got to the point where I felt comfortable enough to say, hey, you know, something's bothering me, and we talked about it, and we took care of it.
Yeah, the only, I guess, like I've always had a good relationship with my mom, but it's this weird thing because my mom was very much like your mom, like, oh, let's go get them, like, let's go solve this, and I think that's that's what really kept me from going to her with.
Well, when I haven't really had to deal with the administration because of bullying since this incident in 7th or 8th grade, but the thing that really upset me about it was how, you know, I reached out to them and they have this zero tolerance policy, and, you know, so you think like, oh, so this kid's gonna get in trouble, but no, like, it's really not a zero tolerance policy. They kind of gave him a little leeway. They, you know, they went on to say how, like, this kid, oh, he's got a Jewish father, so maybe it was just teasing between, you know, two Jews, but, you know, this kid wasn't Jewish, you know, and also they kind of like they kind of showed sympathy to this kid because I think his parents were going through a divorce at a time. But you know, like, that's still, even though if this kid is going through a hard time, he should still be punished. Even though, like, there's really not a good excuse to do what he was doing to me and other kids.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but what kind of punishment do you think would have been appropriate?
I think he should have at least gotten suspended. I mean, he didn't get anything from the school.
In light of what Margie said, though, what do you think about her comment? About
Well, yeah,
go to some education training, like, you know, community service kind of thing or whatever?
Well, actually, you know, this kid, he actually, 2 years ago, so like, I think it was our sophomore year in high school, he got in trouble for punching another kid in the face. And he had, now he's on probation, and he has to do X amount of community service, and you know, I think the community service is definitely a good thing, and the probation officers probably keeping him on the right track, and you know, it's better than just having him sit at home and, you know, just to think it over by himself.
Right. And see, what happens is then they give him community service picking up garbage, and I'm like, well, that's fine, but they're not really learning. You know, so here's an example. Last year, the session Michelle and I did, we do it typically once a year, although we are willing to come to other places.
Yeah, so for you guys being educators, I would encourage you to talk to your students with, you know, with respect, and kind of give them a sense of confidence, because that will go along with how they treat other people and how they will treat other teachers in their classes, and you know, I really only think good can come from that.
I want to thank everyone.